cousin.
Hey, cousin.
Welcome to Calling Cousins. This is Cousin Ash, married with two kids, a boy and a girl, calling from Arizona. We want to thank everyone for joining us today.
Cousin Shaw here. I'm a single mom of one boy, calling from Colorado. Parenting can be beautiful, but it can also be ugly. We hope that these topics bring you and your family some knowledge and understanding.
And remember, silence is golden unless you have a toddler. The topic we have for today is school safety. This is one of our listener requested ones.
So thanks again. We love these listener requested.
I agree. It's fun to know what you guys want to hear, so keep them coming.
Yes. Yes. This one, by the way, um, so it's school safety, but it's more like tailored towards school violence, not necessarily like security. It's like more kid related violence than like having a security officer
Yeah,
at your school.
we're gonna tell you guys a story
Yeah.
and this
Yeah.
whole article about it, and then at the end we'll talk about what you can do to potentially prevent this in the future.
Yes. So we're going to read the title, but I want to preface that this title really draws you in, and there's more to the story than just the title. I also want to preface that no children were harmed in this article. We will post the articles. We're actually talking about two articles. We'll post both of them so you can go check it out. But no child was actually harmed. But the title was fifth graders plotted to murder boy in bathroom and make it look like a suicide, which was super. I think this make it look like a suicide was the creepiest part to me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. The more that I read down, and this is in Arizona, but I want to say, I got a frog in my throat. That's not what I want to say. I wanted to say that this is not the school my children go to.
So at the very beginning, it basically talks about that. From my understanding, the victim was a boy, and I think there was four children involved in this quote unquote plan. I don't know if they were only girls, but there was the one girl, and it was who was dating the boy who's the victim, said that she cheated on him. And they're fifth graders, which was also crazy to me because I'm like, how old are you again at fifth grade? You're like
Yeah,
13?
I down further. No, younger. They arrested two 10-year-olds and two 11-year-olds.
Oh, that's right. It did say the
Yeah.
ages 10, 11. Yeah,
I'm like,
so
what the
so
heck?
the girl part of the four children was like he cheated on me at age 10 or 11,
Yeah.
and
Isn't that crazy?
they planned to murder him.
I don't even remember liking boys at that age. Like I maybe had a
um,
crush, but like I was never dating, you know.
I don't know. I mean I definitely remember my first crush in like my first school, so I was the oldest at third grade there, but I do remember having a crush back then.
I mean,
We
that's what I
had
mean though.
our
Like crush, I had a crush in elementary school, but I didn't start dating until or going
oh
on dates or
dating.
whatever until
Nope.
middle school.
No, I definitely went on dates because I remember my mom took me to meet him, and he gave me, so we would have been, he was my very first boyfriend, which again was in the first school, so it would have been max third grade. Not my first school, second school, so it would have been third to fifth, between third and fifth. It was grade school, but it was in the second grade school. So yeah, I was dating that
Right
age,
around that time. Yeah, I was
between
not.
third and fifth. Yeah, because yeah, he like dressed up all nice, and he got me these cute little oil candle wick things, and they were so cool. I think mom still has one of them because it was so pretty, but he got me three of them, and I broke two of them. Big surprise. But they were like these
What?
glass like um containers with like a plug at the top or whatever, but they had like beautiful
Mm.
flowers and stones in them. I don't even remember if they smelled good, but they were really pretty. One was like a heart, like
I
glass
think I
heart.
remember seeing this.
Yeah, I think the one that my mom still has like these turquoise flowers in them, and it's kind of like a bubble triangle is the best way I can describe it.
All right.
Um, so anyways, that's how old that is if you ever see it in your house. um, um, But yeah, I totally dated back then. But anyway, sorry,
Well,
squirrel.
I'm
Okay,
happy you didn't plan to harm anybody afterwards.
that's true.
So
Yeah,
this is
none of
good.
that. Basically, these four students were planning to stab this fifth grader and forge, well, it says and forge him, but I'm pretty sure they were going to make him do it before. Forge a suicide note to make it look like it was self-inflicted. Um, and then the only reason the school found out about it is because, from my understanding, a different child, not the ones that were a part of the four, but a different child overheard the group talking about it, went home, told their parent, and the parent brought it up to the school.
Thank God they did and didn't think it was some kind of hoax.
Or like not believe their child. Like, what if they're like, whatever, you're crazy. That doesn't happen at your grade. You know what I mean? And totally
Mhm.
ignore their child, because even if their child misheard exactly what was happening, like, and I was proud of the child for saying something. Like, how terrifying to hear that, to register that it's dangerous. Well, granted, they're 10, 11. I don't know how smart those kids are, but like to have the cojones to go tell your parents about it.
Right. That's good on that parent. Proud of
I
you.
know it, but
Raising good kids.
even the
Yeah.
kid. Oh, and then it goes
Good
on to
kid.
say this part was creepy too. They were planning on wearing gloves to not leave any fingerprints behind. What kind of murder shows are these children watching?
Ugh, probably all of them, honestly. Depending on their parents, they probably are like, I know how to do this. Or you could probably Google it and AI will tell you how to do it.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh, and
I
then I
always
didn't
think
like
that when
that
I
part either. It said that they planned on stabbing him in the stomach. I have so many questions about this. Like, somebody
yeah,
gonna
that was weird.
cover his
Well,
mouth? Like, was he gonna, and then why would you commit suicide by stabbing? Like, first, they're dumb. Like, I'm not gonna go into that, but they didn't
well,
even
that's
think
true.
of
Why
it
would you commit
correctly.
suicide? Yeah, they did not. I mean, they're 11, so you gotta can't. Um,
But I guess I'm just hoping that, like, through all of this, if that other student didn't hear them, which thank God she did, but
mhm.
if all
Or
of that, like,
it doesn't say if it was a boy or girl that hurt him.
I think it lower down it says, it was a girl.
Oh, okay.
Um, but anyway, I would hope that, like, if they went in to do this, he screamed or, knocked the knife away. Honestly, I really hope that, like, I'm jumping ahead because the article talks about this later, but like three of the girls said that they were just talking about it to sound cool,
Well, I
but the
think that's what it
one
says right
girl
here. I
was
think the
serious
girl that
about
got
it.
cheated on, well, I think the one that got cheated on made a joke. She says she claims that she made a joke. And then all of a sudden, all the other ones started to get serious. And I'm just assuming it's all girls. I think down and below it says that they can't release if it's like boys or girls that were a part of the alleged, they keep saying the children, the four children, whatever.
Yeah,
Um, but even a joke, even if it is a joke, like say the girl that got cheated on just made a joke, like it to me it's not a joke if you're talking about, yeah, then we could stab him in this place and then we could wear gloves and then we could make him write a suicide note. Like that's what no. Like that's not a joke.
right. I agree. I get uncomfortable with my kids when they play those games. Like, they'll have the fake sword. My son will go stab somebody else and he'd be like, "Oh, you're dead now." And I'm like, "Hey, like, I don't
I
I don't know.
know.
Like, I
I
have a hard
know.
time with that, let
My
alone joking about it."
well, and like our grandma has said, like this one of her favorite memories of her dad was how he pretend died. He was the best dyer, is what she
Yeah.
said. That they would go shooting and
Yeah,
he'd be like, oh, and like do the whole
you're
dramatic
right.
fall over, and the kids just get a kick out of it. And that's one of her like prized memories. I think it's crazy that with all these video games and that kind of stuff, how much we have normalized dying. Because it's like you have the war games, right, when they're playing. Oh my gosh, I'm horrible at thinking of all the games. Why do I keep wanting to say
Uh,
World of Warcraft? I don't even know what that
not
game
that
is.
one.
But
That's
there's
the
like
nerd one.
Halo, which Halo I know is more like an alien killing thing. But there's what is the one? It's like
Um,
army or it's like military based
oh
killing.
my
Anyways,
gosh.
there's so
Battlefield. I think
many.
there's one called Battlefield. Um, I'm trying to think of what my husband played. There's another one called Red Dead Redemption that just came out a few years ago, and that was a big deal. And
Well, then
I don't
there's
know, but
that
yeah, you're right. There
Fortnite.
is there, yeah.
That's the kid one, not the adults one. Granted, the kids can play. But anyways, there's just so many games where it's like you're literally just shooting and like even when we were younger, um, we played Nintendo 64 and there was this game Turok and it was based on adults, like people killing um dinosaurs. And I remember in the game because I was so little, it gave me nightmares. And so my dad still let my brothers play the game, but we had to turn the blood on clear. Because you could do red blood, blue blood, or clear blood. And so the only way that my dad would let the boys play it is if the blood was clear, and then I could watch it. But you're still like watching them, murder and that kind of stuff. But anyways, yeah, the fact that we normalize it and then, maybe it's not that weird that the kids joke about it or have these plans and that kind of stuff. And
Well, I don't know.
terrifying.
I feel like at that age there should be a line like I know I just said that like I have a hard time when my son is playing to like joke about that
Hmm.
and like but obviously I don't want to take the fun away from him. So there are times where I'm like, just say that you knocked him out or whatever.
Got
Just say
you.
that
I
they're
got
sleeping.
you.
Yeah. And then but then, as he gets older, I know it's going to become more common. So also I feel like there's a line where like don't ever tell somebody you're going to kill them when you're not playing a game. Like don't ever threaten people when you're upset
Or
or,
like or
you
even
know.
like that phrase, just yeah, go die. Like I like go kill yourself. Like those kinds of phrases where it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, that is like serious. And so maybe, there's truth to what you're saying too. It's like if you play it and it becomes normal. So like my son's been getting on me with my cussing and
Good.
he's like, he's like, Mama, you said a bad word. And he makes me apologize to him and everything. It's fantastic. Um But there was one where I say like, what the heck? And he doesn't like that one. He said it's a strong word. And he's like, because then if you get comfortable saying that, you might accidentally say the other, like the bad one. And so it's like when you're playing the game and you're comfortable doing that thing in the, in play mode, if you will, and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden you'll just comfortably say it in real mode in, and
Yeah.
that's horrible.
Your son is so smart.
He has his moments. Just kidding.
But
He's just a
I
logical dude.
agree. I mean, and that's why I feel like even adults I feel need to take like I'm like get kind of political, but it doesn't explain who I voted for, I guess, kind of. Anyway, like I'm fine. I'm fine with people talking about politics on Facebook, right? Like I'm not gonna unfriend you because you're sharing your opinion about something, right?
Yeah, freedom of
But
speech.
right. But the second that I maybe not unfriend, but unfollow so I don't have to see your post is when you're threatening the life of the president. Like, grow up, dude. I
Oh my
can't.
gosh. I kid you not. Like me and dad were at the gym the other day and this guy had a shirt that was, yeah, was the president blowing his head off, his own head off. And it was a cartoon of his head exploding and it just made me so uncomfortable. Like no
Yes,
matter
I
who that
agree.
president was, it made me extremely uncomfortable because I was like, you like that is a life. Like I don't care
Yeah.
who even if it wasn't the president and it was some massive celebrity singer or whatever, pop star. But like it made me so uncomfortable. Even if it was Osama bin Laden, that would make me uncomfortable.
I agree. Like, I feel like any act of violence like that, and maybe, I don't know, like we were not in the military, but we're like, we have military friends, we have family in the
I
military, that kind of
support
stuff.
them.
Like,
Yeah.
exactly. But I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, go kill those people. Like, whoa, go team. It's going to be like,
Which is now that you
try
say
not to
it,
die.
I make a joke of it all the time, and it's from that Adam Sandler movie. I can't remember which one it is. Probably Waterboy. You can do it. Cut his freaking head off. And I always
I think it's Little Nicky.
no, it's not Little Nicky because they're in the boonies.
I thought it was the one who was in it. I think it's in both because I always think of him as the same
Oh,
dude.
it could be. It's the same dude. I mean, Adam Sandler had all of his similar friends, but I'm pretty sure it's It's when he's trying to play football and he's nervous or
Oh,
whatever. And then that
yeah.
the brunette little guy, I can't remember his name, one of
Rob
his
Schneider.
friends. Yeah, he's in the crowd, and I mean they make a meme on it or GIF or whatever on it all the time, and it's he's like, well, you can't see us, but I got my hand up. He's like, cut his freaking head off. And so, anyways,
Yeah.
that's a very, so there I go, making jokes about it. I'm gonna have
Well,
to,
yeah, there you go. Lead by example. Now you gotta change.
all right, well now I know. See, now I've made myself aware.
But anyway, I feel like you're right. We are adults. We've matured. We know better. But then again, there are some adults out there, like we were just talking about with the shirt and stuff. And I
Yeah.
think that some people are just so much more comfortable with violence, and maybe that's it. Like I'm just not comfortable. I'd rather solve things with words than
Right.
action kind
Like
of person.
as much as I support the military, I don't support war. I think war is a giant
Yeah.
temper tantrum, in my opinion. And I don't support killing. I don't support, although, and this might have to be a different podcast topic because we're squirreling again, but although I do support the death penalty um, for certain accusations like rape and murder and that kind of stuff, because I feel like when you make those severe choices, you should have something to fear yourself. But if it's like, oh, I'm just going to get locked up in jail and potentially be let go and I could do it all over again, I feel like that's not scary enough to stop doing what you're doing. But
Yeah.
again, that could be a different podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
feel like a lot of people feel that way, but I mean, you're right. And maybe that's, I don't know. I just feel like, because I agree with you, like it doesn't matter who the person is, if they're a celebrity or whatever, but like if anybody talks about killing them, it would immediately make me uncomfortable. And people get death threats all the time. And I'm like, why? Like, why do you have that anger? Why do you have that violence in you? Like, don't get me wrong.
yeah.
I could go rip up a rage room right now, totally fine. Like, I
Yeah, because it's an
get the anger.
object. Yeah, and I
Right.
got
But like
anger
I would
too, man.
never ever think about like taking a baseball bat to like someone's head. Like no, a baseball
Right.
bat to an old school TV with the box behind it. Hell yeah. But that's about where
Heck
it
yeah.
stops. Sorry. Heck,
Heck yeah.
heck, heck. My
Don't
kids
make me
aren't
go tell
here.
my
I'm
son on
allowed to
you.
cuss.
Okay, anyways, back to this. It kind of goes into detail about a few of the students. It doesn't say that these students were necessarily a part of the four children. But one of them made me uncomfortable. It said a fourth student and okay, it does say her parent did not appear. So, oh, anyway, sorry. So those there's like three students and their parents, and they showed remorse. But then there's a fourth one where neither the student nor the parent were even phased by it, and it made me uncomfortable for two reasons. Like one, like does that mean that student truly meant the quote unquote joke? And two, with the parent, like was the parent either I mean, I doubt it was the parent was like supportive. I mean, I don't know, they could have been, but either way, was it like they refused to believe that their student would have talked about or planned on doing anything like that? So they're like, no, if I show any kind of emotion, they're just going to shut down and be like, nope, I don't believe my kid would ever say that because there are parents out there that they're, what was that one? I can't remember, but it was recent in the last couple of years. The kid, can't remember if it was a school shooting or it might have been in the mall or it might have been that kid that did the shooting in the movie theater. The parent had no idea and never believed that their kid could do it. Like even after everything was done and the kid was found guilty, the parent was like, I still can't believe that my kid would ever do that. So it's like if you're so stubborn to think that or blindsided that you think your kid would never do that, that's like terrifying to me that you think your kid's so perfect you're not even seeing your true child.
Well, I think that that one was like that was a grown adult, and I think he had moved away
But
from
still it was
home.
still their kid. I know, but it was still their kid.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
get
like
that. But
even
like also,
afterwards the I think the mom was like not, and maybe I have to look up my facts, but I think the mom was even like I still don't believe that he could ever do something like that. I don't know.
yeah,
I
I
don't
mean
know.
that's the denial, but if they hide it well enough, like that's where psychopaths. So it's actually this is a perfect segue because I actually looked up um like to see if that child that started all of this is like literally a psychopath. Because I'm like, why wouldn't they have
The
remorse? Why
joking
wouldn't
one?
they? Yeah,
Yeah.
the one who like planned all this, whose boyfriend cheated on her, or whatever.
Yeah.
And a psychopath, right, is a person that doesn't believe what they are doing is wrong, pretty much, right? And so
Yeah.
so that man that you were just talking about with the Aurora shooting, I believe, like from what I've understood, is that he acted like a totally normal person, and then this was just like he thought there was nothing wrong with what he was doing.
It was just
Obviously
a simple
we know
solution.
like he's crazy, and but I don't even know, like a lot of people, like the school shootings, they're doing it to get revenge. I don't even know this what that guy wanted, but that's not the point of this article. I
Oh, the
don't like
movie
him.
theater.
Yeah, and I don't like talking about his name or anything because I don't want to give him any more publicity than he
Publicity.
deserves, and I'm pretty sure he's
Yeah.
still in jail, and I think he got married or something. I don't know. I don't like that guy. Hate him.
Again,
And
back to the
I
death
hate very
sentence.
few people. Yes. I hate very few people, but I hate that man. I've never met him in my life, thank God. But anyway, like that man is a psychopath. Um, so with the fact that this child shows no remorse or anything about
Even
the
the parent.
situation, yeah,
Yeah.
I looked up to see like how do you know if a child is a psychopath? Apparently you don't. Apparently children cannot get diagnosed as a psychopath. They have to be an
Why?
adult. I don't
Why?
know.
Because they
It's
haven't gone
like,
through
oh,
puberty?
wait. No, I'll tell you why. So this is exactly what it goes through. So the brain development, a child's brain is still developing, so they lack the mature decision-making skills and impulse control, and the full understanding of consequences as an adult possesses. So that's one thing, their brain development. So they can't be considered a psychopath if their brain isn't fully developed. Um,
Hmm.
this one was like, I don't know.
Is that why they just
Some of
call them
these
tantrums?
I guess some of these definitions are like too much, and it's kind of confusing. So okay, I'll just read this. So it says they can't, or the whole thing is called conduct disorder with callous unemotional traits. In clinical settings, children who exhibit behaviors like severe aggression, lack of remorse or guilt, and disregard for others are typically diagnosed with a conduct disorder, potentially with a specifier of callous and unemotional traits. These traits are considered developmental precursors to psychopathy. I didn't even know that was a word. But
Psychopathy.
yeah, but do not guarantee a diagnosis of psychopathy in adulthood. So I bet you that girl is about to get diagnosed with this though, because she has no remorse. So anyway, I hope she
That's
goes to therapy.
crazy.
Um, and then this is why it's an adult disorder. Psychopathy is not a formal diagnosis for children or adolescents. It's typically diagnosed in adulthood using tools like the Hare Psychopathy Checklist, revised CPL-R, assessing traits like manipulativeness, that's a big word, lack of empathy, and irresponsibility.
That's like every
Other
adult I know.
factors, I know,
Sorry.
right? Other factors, a child's violent thoughts or behavior can stem from various factors, including exposure to trauma, environmental factors, mental health issues. And I feel like one of these is parents. Like if the mother is
Yep.
showing no remorse for her daughter doing this to a boy,
Well,
obviously
but
the
there's
kid is learning
also,
that from somewhere.
right, and then there's, like say it's like an abusive relationship and the parents or whatever, and then the child's watching that, then they think that that's a healthy relationship. Like that's just purely taught. But I don't know if that's taught, does that create so like a psychopath? And yes, we're derailing just a tad. But like if or like are you born with it? Is that like in your mentality, like, or is it taught? I see how
I
it
think
can be
it can
taught.
be either
Okay. But
because
you just
they're
don't show because like I know
yeah.
a lot of boys when they're younger, they have like I thought you said it in here somewhere, but they have like messed up thoughts, right? Like especially
Yeah.
towards animals. They want to you know, I mean, I'm even a culprit of wanting to chop up the worm enough
I
times
know.
to see how long till it actually dies. Like that is a
The
border. I
worm.
mean, that's, yeah, that is like a small dose of psychopathy. But at what point, you know, do you have to start paying attention to that? Thankfully, my son has never done any of that. Oh my gosh,
Not yet.
story though. He we were hanging out with a couple kids. Well, he was, I was. And it was like one of those moments where I had to like not watch over him. So this was a couple years ago, and I was, you know, he was like around 5, and I was like, okay, I need to like trust him a little bit with these older kids. And I knew two of the older kids. I didn't know another kid that those older kids knew. Um, but anyways, um, my son comes back to me like after he hung out with those boys or whatever, and he told me, and he's like, Mama, um, one of the boys was um torturing an animal. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what? And he's like, yeah, he was, and I can't remember because it was a couple years ago, but he was saying torturing an animal. And I had to ask like super, super detailed, like, what happened? Where were you guys? What animal was it? And that kind of stuff. Well, it turned out to be, um, oh, actually, no, so he was so young, he couldn't exactly tell me what it was. So I went to my friend and I said, hey, just so you know, your kid's friend, because it was the other kid that I didn't know, was
Mhm.
torturing an animal. According to my son, you might want to talk with your kids to clarify this conversation. Turns out that the kid squished a grasshopper. He stepped
Oh,
he stepped on a grasshopper.
the
And so
audacity.
I know, and my son thought that he was torturing an animal because my son wasn't used to, he was used to, you know, like tiny bugs or whatever, but the grasshopper in
Right.
his eyes was like a bigger
Oh,
animal. And so he was like potentially traumatized, you know, and like I felt bad because I'm like, oh, it's just a grasshopper, who cares? But I was like, oh gosh, thank goodness this kid wasn't torturing, you know, like a squirrel or something like that in front of my kid's eyes. Cause
right.
I was freaking out. I was like, I remember I was texting my friend. I was like, I'm never letting my son see that kid again, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, he is not a psychopath that I know of.
Well, and but see, that's a weird thing, and that is like, um, I don't know. To me, I think this is a lot on the parents. So like we had a situation when we lived in our first apartment when we first moved to Arizona, and it was in a not great
Mhm.
area, but that doesn't really matter. So there were a bunch of kids always playing outside in this apartment complex, right? And no adults around because it's an
Of
apartment
course.
complex. Everybody thinks it's safe. And they were
It
in
is
like the
not.
main area. No, it's not
Mhm.
safe. They were playing in the parking lot. Like it's not safe at all. But anyway,
Yeah.
um these kids would get rocks and they would throw them at the pigeons. So we had like dead pigeons
Oh,
all over.
babies.
Yeah, but it was like obviously when we saw them when like we would go out there and we'd see dead pigeons, okay? Like we wouldn't ever see the kids. So one day we went out there and we saw the kids doing it and obviously we yelled at them. So we're like, "Hey,
Yeah.
like don't make me find your parents, whatever. Like you're not supposed to be doing that. That's cruel." But like I wouldn't call those kids psychopaths at that point. I would call them unsupervised. Like they don't know any better because the parents aren't out there
They
keeping an eye on them.
Well, and they may not have been taught the value of a life.
Well, yeah, and then also it's like, oh, like this is gonna sound like I'm a psychopath where I'm not, but you get a serotonin rush when you like hit a target, okay? Like literally, like that is in our blood, right? So like they were literally like, oh, I
I
got
don't know what
it.
that's like. I've never hit a target, so I can't tell you what that feels like.
Well, it's like winning a game, right? Like you're all out there throwing rocks at the bird, and then who hits it? Oh, me! Like I did it. I'm
I
winning.
don't know because I feel like if it was an animal, and I obviously am a grown adult, but like I've never been comfortable with hunting. I've never been comfortable with, like, yes, I eat meat, but like,
You don't see where it comes from.
I mean, and I know where it comes from, but like I can't, I don't know, like I can kill a bug without blinking, but
Yeah, but bugs are different. See, and I
is
get
it
that.
just
That's
because they're
where
small? Ugh, if there was big bugs.
I
Oh,
mean,
I'd be
a
terrified.
a bug is a bug, and an animal is an animal, right? Like I don't even know if bugs have hearts or brains. Like some of them probably
They
don't.
do.
I don't know.
They do.
Not all. Like a worm does not have a brain.
I think they do. I think I watched a Wild Kratts on it
I know.
before.
I was just thinking about the Wild Kratts. We totally watched it too. I'm trying to remember.
Anyways, I don't want to derail from this topic
Well,
too
you're
far.
right. But I come from a really big hunting family, and we go hunting all the time. We go bird hunting, big game hunting, all the things. And a few years ago when I went, I decided to not take my gun with me, my rifle with me. It was a big game hunt, and I was like, I'm just gonna go for the hike, right? Like spend time with my family, go with my dad. Like that was really good bonding time for me and my dad because you literally sit there, you have no phone signal, you have to like talk. It was crazy.
Weird, gross. No,
I know. But the thing is, and like my dad's probably gonna hate that I say this, but like we never got anything. And I swear I was bad luck. Like every single time they would go without me, they would get something. Every single time I went with them, they never got anything. And so I was like, this is fun. I love hunting because I never saw like the traumatic part of it. Like I never saw,
Okay.
us dragging the deer out, that kind of stuff.
Oh gosh. Oh
Um,
gosh.
but I will
Visuals.
say after, I would be prepared to do it. I would be prepared to like do all the things you got to do because you have to be
I would not.
taught, whatever. We're going to have this podcast about survival and we're just going to go on about that and at a later point. But anyway, I will say that I did start carrying a gun with me though because we kept seeing bear tracks. So even if I go just for the hike
Oh
and not
yeah.
to shoot the deer, I'm still going to bring a gun because safety.
Okay, yeah. If it was
So,
in self-defense, I would definitely shoot an animal.
yeah. But the problem,
Or a
like, I would
person.
hate it because the poor bear, like, the bear is just whatever.
He's just
I
hungry.
feel so bad. I
Just get a thing.
know. Like, we're
He's
going in
no,
on
because
his
he doesn't eat
territory.
people. I know, he's just scared. Anyways, okay, we're scrolling again. Okay,
Yeah, we're
so
scrolling. All right, all right.
needless to say, we don't know if that kid's a psychopath. And then, cousin, did you say at what age they can truly? So it has to be adult. So is that above 18? They can be diagnosed.
I bet you they can be diagnosed younger. Like, I bet it can be like 16 or so, depending on the circumstance.
Like if they're through the severe part of puberty, because that's the other thing
Yeah.
too is puberty changes you so much. You can be one way when you're a kid and then completely different after you go through puberty.
Yeah, that's so true.
And plus they
And
can't
even,
try a child, a minor. So they, even if you were considered a psychopath, like what are they going to give you an IEP for being a psychopath or something? Anyways,
well, I mean, they can. And I feel like the other thing is like the one thing that I think it would be trauma. So like
trauma definitely. Well, or it's like
us being
thought.
in the
Yeah.
foster system. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the children that we had, actually, I do think one of them, I thought at the time that one of them was a little bit off, and it was because of the trauma that they had experienced before.
I think they would be able to grow out of that
Yeah,
age.
at the time, they were only 3 or 4. So that's something that, you know, they could have definitely grown out of by that point. But
Yeah.
if like a 16-year-old had this huge traumatic event or was abused their entire lives, and then they started showing signs of abuse, I feel like at that point, like 16-year-olds, if they murder somebody, can get tried as an adult. So I feel like at that point, if you're able to get tried as an adult, you can get tried or you can get diagnosed as an adult.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I would say probably 16 and older, depending on the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, no kid was harmed. And then the kids, they definitely, I need to scroll back. But the 4, they were, they did get arrested. They were, no, they weren't expelled. They were suspended pending expulsion.
Well, and the one, it did say, I think we skipped over it, but the 3 of them, the one said that she was just playing along because she didn't want everybody to think she was weird.
I think that was one. Yeah, one kid said that. One kid started the joke, and then the other kid got uncomfortable, so they went along with it too.
Yeah. So 3 of them were extremely sorry, said that they would have never actually done it, that kind of stuff. They were like, we were just going along with it kind of thing. But then, yeah, that 4th one.
This one. Yeah, this one said thought they would be weird not wanting to do it. So they were trying. Yeah. They were like, that was basically trauma for them at that moment. They were
Yeah.
taught how to, yeah.
The students said that they didn't think the others would actually do it. So, anyways, the other three girls were just doing it because of peer pressure, essentially. And the one was the one instigating it. So that's just it's just crazy. So I
Imagine
think
if,
the three are like let go. Hopefully going to counseling and working on their
hopefully.
self-esteem because my
Well, and
God.
hopefully the boy is too.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Oh, and then it did say somewhere to the parent of the victim, they at first didn't want to speak to the people about this article.
Right.
But then later on they said that um they want to aid in the prosecution of the students. So I guess they are going to try all four of
Good.
them. But
It's terrifying. That is terrifying.
yeah, God, could you imagine like you're like that is my son? I can't that makes me like sick to my
Right.
stomach. I mean, on
Right.
one
And so
hand, you're like, bro, don't cheat, you idiot. And then on the other hand, you're like, but also don't go out
but
with
also
psychos that want to
don't
kill
die.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we kind of go into like things that you can prevent the violence. Like this is both the school as well as parents, because I feel like parents put a lot of pressure on the schools. Well, you fix it, you did this, you didn't protect my child, blah blah blah. Well, you can also take charge of your own child. The
Yeah.
biggest one is you need to talk to your kids, have those uncomfortable conversations. Um, Hopefully before any of this kind of stuff happens, but this article does go into even the stuff about smoking, drugs, sex, drinking, that kind of stuff, even death. Um, but mainly we were talking about the violence part of it. Like talk about like even talk about it like if you see another kid getting beaten up, like teach your kid how to handle that situation. Um, don't go in there and try and fight them yourself, but go get an adult or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
protect each other. Like teach the kids to protect each other.
That's where I feel
Um,
like martial arts is so beneficial because they teach kids to defend themselves when they need to, but also
self-defense, yes.
not to start fights. And I feel like that's
Not
so
attack.
important. Yeah. So I think martial arts is great. And then I did have a little suggestion here, but I want to make sure I didn't cut you off because I think I cut you
Oh
off.
yeah, I kind of didn't have a way to end it, so you go right ahead.
Okay. Okay. Um, so I know some parents can't do this. Like when I was growing up, my mother worked 2 to 3 jobs like my whole life. So I don't really remember very many sit down for dinner meals. It was more like on the go meals, which is fine. Like that was just my life. And I'm
Mine
good
is
with
more
it.
here. You eat while I finish cooking my food.
Right, right, and that's fair. But like, just a suggestion, or maybe you can do it in the mornings too. But like, so my family, every night we sit down for dinner and we ask the kids about their day. Like, even during the summer, we were doing that. Like, what was the favorite part of your day? Blah, blah, blah. And the key here is that you have to actually listen. You have to actually hear what
Mhm.
your kid is saying. You can't just like zone out and be like thinking about the groceries
That's
that you need to
cool.
order. Yeah,
Yeah.
like you have to actually pay attention to the friends' names and what they say and who they're talking about and blah blah blah, because then you can be an involved parent. And like this, it doesn't have to be dinner. Like if you're busy, you can do it in the mornings, like when you're getting ready for school.
Driving them
You
to
know,
school.
exactly. Like anytime where you're
That's when
just
I
with your
ask him.
kid,
Yeah.
just pay attention, just be there and listen, because these kids are telling you things and you're just like, some people just don't hear it. And like
Right.
if they talk about their friends, you're like, okay, so and so got in a fight with so and so at school, and you're like, okay, you're 7, like get over yourselves. But like realistically, my kid's only 3 years away from this crazy situation that just happened.
Right.
So I'm going to pay attention to what so and so did to so and
Oh,
so
I
and keep that
know
in the
all the
back of my head.
so-and-sos at school, man.
Exactly. And I feel like you just need to listen. Um, and then eventually your kids are just gonna, like, if you do this young, especially, it'll just become a normal thing. And then I feel like your kids will be comfortable enough talking to you about their day, even if it does include like, oh, Chelsea was drinking in the cafeteria today or whatever, like,
And it smelt weird. Yeah.
yeah, like they're just gonna start telling you that kind of stuff, and you can just pay attention because, like, like you had mentioned before, if that girl did not tell her parents, the girl that wasn't even involved,
Right.
then what would have happened? We'd be reading a whole different article.
Yeah. And take your kids seriously too.
Yes.
Like, don't just say,
Like,
like, whatever, you heard it wrong. You must have, maybe even like, I mean, I've done that before where my son will say something that the teacher said, and I'm like, okay, babe, well, let me clarify that with them,
mhm.
but thanks for telling me, you know.
All right, so another suggestion was to set clear rules and limits for your children. It says children need clearly defined rules and limits to set for them so that they know what's expected of them and the consequences for not complying. And what I think, like what I'm gonna take away from this also, which I feel is a good reminder for parents, even though like a lot of parents feel like they do this, but I don't think a lot of them do, is you should lead by example and also follow the rules. So,
Mm-hmm.
like if you tell your kids to be kind to others, then you shouldn't be driving down the street cussing at somebody for cussing or for cutting you off, right? Like
Exactly.
you should be kind to that person, like, oh, okay, well, they just must be in a hurry, or whatever the case may be. Or like if you tell your kids something that I'm trying to do because I'm trying to lose weight is tell my kids to stop eating at a certain time of night. And I'm like, I need to do that too. But you know what? When they go to sleep, they don't know. So anyway, I'm a bad person. But that's not the point. The point is they don't know that. And so
Well, and honestly, like, again, my son will tell me this, like, I'll be yelling out on the road or whatever, and he goes, Mama, you have to be nice to them. You don't know how what their day is like. And I'm like, oh,
oh,
you're right.
stop being so logical.
I know. It's just like, but it's crazy because you don't know what's
Yeah.
going on. But yeah, leading by example, especially like you don't know how much your kids are paying attention to you, how much they remember and how much they take to heart. So if you make fun of someone, or if it's like, especially like if you're be like, oh my gosh, your teacher's crazy, they're gonna go into school thinking their teacher's crazy and disrespect their teacher purely because you don't. Um,
Right.
so yeah, you definitely, and back to the setting rules. Um, a lot of people choose to disagree with this, but like kids and animals, I say animals because I'm staring at a sleeping dog and she's very cute. But um, they crave direction. So like
Mhm.
they want to make you happy, especially at certain ages. And so like the younger ages, when they're like, and I don't know how a 10-year-old is, but I feel like a 10-year-old, they kind of start to like go off of more of how their friends act versus what their parents expect. But I feel like under 10, you your kids want to make you happy because they come home and that's just what they are trained to do. They're trained to make you happy. And then I feel like once they're over 10, they kind of start to rebel a little bit. I could be wrong about that. But I would say if you give them direction and you give them, the positive and the negative reinforcement, that will keep them in the rule guidelines or whatever. And it'll also teach the kids to be like, hey, when I'm at home, my mommy says I'm not allowed to hit. So why is that kid allowed to hit? Maybe I need to say something about that kid hitting. You know what I mean? So it'll give
Yeah.
them examples of if you teach them how to behave, they will see that other behavior is
Yeah.
wrong. Then it goes on to know the warning signs, which is, kind of hard. And it goes like on a deeper level. Um, but just the same thing along the lines of listening to your kids, pay attention to your kids. Um, their mannerisms, the things that they're into, like you said earlier, cousin, their friends that they talk to and that kind of stuff. It kind of goes into talking about, like what's normal behavior for change, small changes to extreme changes. Um, when it says when say your kids are always hanging out with Chelsea or whatever, and then all of a sudden they're talking about Barbara, and you're like, or sorry, who the frick is Barbara? Like that's a change. Pay attention to that. Like we liked Chelsea. Why are you now veering away from Chelsea? And who's this Barbara person? And
Right.
like pay attention to that kind of stuff. If their grades start to decline, or if their grades are dropping, they could be ditching. I did have one friend that I knew that she was ditching because she would tell me about it, but her parents didn't know or whatever. Well, her grades started to slip, and that's when her parents found out because they were paying attention.
Yeah. But anyway, if there
But
was a
anyways,
change,
yes, if
you need
there's
to
a
pay attention.
change,
Yeah.
yeah, or even opposite, like say your kid is failing. There was some show that I watched about it. If you're always failing and all of a sudden your grades are going up, what the heck? Well, and I can't remember
Yeah.
the name of the show, but basically the girl, she was taking Ritalin, she was taking medication,
Adderall, yeah.
Adderall, and the parents were okay with that, but the problem is she was taking somebody else's medication, so they didn't know the
Yeah.
strength, they didn't know whether she was getting it, and it could have been a dangerous situation. So pay attention, positive or negative.
Yeah.
Talks about sports. Say your kids, super into sports, and all of a sudden they're not anymore. Like just pay attention. Sleep. That's kind of hard because I don't. I mean, I ask my kid how they slept, but I'm not watching my kids sleep, so I don't know if they're sleeping or not. Another thing it talks about is like eating problems or whatever, lying if they're starting to lie, if they have chronic physical complaints. Pay attention to those kinds of things because you never know. Like for instance, like my son, he has accidents all the time, and I think it's like an underlying issue that we're trying to figure out because he's old enough to not be having accidents, So I'm trying to like dig deeper. So just pay attention. I know my sister, she had some stomach issues, like when she would get like over stressed about presenting or whatever, that kind of stuff, like her
Hmm.
stomach would be in knots. So just pay attention. You never know what your kid's going through. I mean, you should know what your kid's going through. um
Right.
and paying attention on so many levels can, um yeah, because yeah, if they're being bullied or that kind of stuff, like you want to know, or if they're the bully, you want to know.
Right. I actually had
um
this this funny story real quick about my brother. They knew, like my parents knew immediately. Well, my mom and his stepmom and dad knew immediately when he started smoking pot. 'Cause
oh my
he
gosh, why?
he smoked one day, and he came home and he ate 3 plates of spaghetti, and he hated spaghetti. And he was
That is
like
hilarious.
and then he proceeded to tell them that he had the munchies and that's why he was eating 3 plates. So of course his stepmom called my
So
mom, our
if you
mom.
didn't catch on to that, you'd be the
Yeah.
dumb one. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, like, the sign, like, kids are not the
Okay,
brightest
actually,
sometimes, okay? So
but actually that's a good thing too. Like with drugs or whatever, I'm horrible. I do not. I'm actually impressed that I know what the munchies are. Okay, so it's like do your research on the effects of drugs because like if a new drug comes out, I don't know how often new drugs come out, but um pay attention. Like if your kid, like the Adderall thing, okay, it makes them pay attention more, the munchies things, that kind of stuff. So if you like do your research on that kind of stuff and your kid starts acting like that, don't self-diagnose them, but just
right.
pay attention. Pay attention. Another
Yeah.
thing it kind of goes into is don't be afraid to parent. I know so many parents that are afraid to parent, especially when their kid gets older. They want to stay the friend, they don't want to like push their kid away and that kind of stuff. But it's like you as the parent, you have every right to pay attention to what your kid's doing, even if they're, an adult. But like for
Right.
instance, this is a good example. That parent that paid attention in our previous story, they listened to their kid, what their kid overheard and heard, and they stepped in and brought it to the school. They weren't like, "Oh, kid, like I'm gonna ignore you and I'm not gonna pay attention to what you're saying, and you're gonna have to deal with your shitty friends or poopy friends." Um,
Right.
they stepped in and they protected their child, and that actually shows more to the child too. It's like now that builds a bond. Like I can go to my parent no matter what I have to say, and I can be honest with them and they'll protect me.
Yeah. You have plenty of time to be friends with your kids when they're grown ass adults.
Exactly.
You
But
need to
make
be
sure
a
they're
parent
good
when they're
people.
children.
Yeah,
Yes.
make sure they turn into good people that you want to be friends with when they're adults.
Right. I agree.
um
I agree.
um then it goes on to say staying involved in your child's school, and I know we've talked about this in previous episodes. um I can't remember why we talked about it, but we definitely talked about it. But basically, communicating with your child's teacher. It's just like know who that teacher is, not just when there's problems, but actually like pay attention to, like for instance, last year my son's teacher was pregnant, so like I asked how she was doing, that kind of stuff. So it was like all positive conversations, but like it got to know the face and name, so she was more comfortable to come to me when problems arise, or if she noticed something was off with my child, and I could by vice versa come to her when I noticed that something's going on with him and could she pay closer attention. Um,
Right.
it also it also goes into go to every parent orientation you can, parent teacher conference. If you can, if you have time to volunteer at at the school functions, and also if there's like a parent teacher association, with your school, you can join that too, and then you'll get all the deets of all the stuff that's going on if you're a part of the PTA too. And I think that's just common awareness.
Yeah. I've had great, I mean, I know it kind of sucks. Like some schools, their PTA, I've heard bad things, but thankfully the PTAs I've been involved with have been great. So, I think that if you can, and plus it's kind of one of those things where like if you don't like something about the school, be a part of the solution, not the problem. So join
Yep.
them to put in
Yep.
your word. So yeah, it'd be great. And then kind of like another thing that it suggested in here was help develop a school violence prevention and response plan. So that's something that I feel like is a little bit more related to like the school resource officers, but not all schools
Yeah.
have them. And I
Can't
like
afford them. Yeah.
this one's kind of hard because there's a lot of things that you can't do with this one, but there are also things that you can do. Like one of the schools my son was in, they had a program. I don't remember what it's called, but basically it was specifically for the dads or like the men. Like I think a couple of grandpas would volunteer too. But it
Hmm.
was specifically men to go into the school and like sit in the classroom with these kids and be there for like the boys that or I guess the kids, it doesn't have to be boys, but the kids that didn't have their dad around and that kind of stuff, and kind of just be there to
Yeah.
like look in the classroom and be like, oh, well, this kid's kind of acting a little sus, right? Like
Yeah. Like
they're
I remember
something's
I remember I used to
off.
be like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then they can like go over and be like, hey, like, what are you doing? Like, how's
Right.
your day going? Tell me about it. And then become like more of a mentor to that kid. And like literally, I feel like that whole program is probably preventing a lot of issues in the future because they're they go in and they volunteer at the school to pay attention to the kids that are a little weird, okay? And we all know the weird kids. Like I'm pretty sure I was a weird kid when at some point in my life. So
Well, and
just
there's
having that extra little support.
and there's something to say about that too, because like um a lot of kids act out purely because they're not noticed, because they
Yep.
don't feel noticed and they want to feel noticed. So the only way they're going to be noticed is when they make bad decisions or whatever. You could bring that back down all the way to temper tantrums as a child. They know that if they have a temper tantrum versus not, they'll get more attention. Or, for
Yep.
instance, my son having accidents, I think it's related to he needs more attention. Um, all that kind of stuff. So, like these older kids, they're causing problems because they aren't noticed. If this man, I was just talking to my dad about this, about how every person, no matter what age you are, you're trying to find a role model or you're constantly outsourcing a role model.
Yeah.
Um, and so these kids might be looking for that, or they might, not realize they're looking for it or whatever. And then a a man comes in and they show that dominance and they show, hey, you're being watched. Such cool in so many ways. It can help that kid mentally for not making problems, or help that kid mentally for knowing that they're loved.
Right. I agree. And I mean, like, if you think about it on the flip side, you're just basically reversing what predators are doing. And
Yeah,
so, like, sorry to take it here, but like a lot of people do look for specifically adult men. Like
yeah.
girls look for them when they're like ready to start flirting, that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And boys look for them when they need that mentor. So if they get into the wrong side of things where somebody is a negative influence or going to harm the children, then that's
Right.
so scary where this is like such a positive influence and like they're obviously vetted through the school, they get a background check, all that kind of stuff, and then they're not going anywhere with the person, like they're literally in the classroom. So
Yeah,
I think
they're not alone with them and stuff. Yeah.
exactly, so like you kind of know like nothing weird is happening, like I never felt uncomfortable knowing that there was going to be like so and so's dad in the classroom because they never
Well,
like took my son to the bathroom. You know what I mean? Like, and then also like at that school they had adult only bathrooms. Like you couldn't go use all the bathrooms. You had to use this specific one. So
oh,
like
that's cool.
they were very, very, very aware of it. And I just really appreciated that. So that's something that you could put in place at your school if if you think it's a good idea or you want to join the PTA.
I remember well, I wasn't a weird kid or anything, but like my dad was always in school with me because he worked nights. So he would take us to school, and then sometimes he would um spend the day with me at school. I think he did it at least once a week. I feel like it was once a week. It might have been only once a month, but I thought it was once a week, and that was how he got to spend time with me. And it was the best. And like the teachers loved it because they always had an extra person, like she could run to the restroom and he would stay and monitor
Right.
things. And then I remember one time our it was the projector screen fell off the wall, and I don't know what made it fall, but like she couldn't get it up back by herself. So it was nice where he was able to just like run up there and um
Right.
take care of it or whatever. But all the kids, like ever since I was in grade school, all the kids always knew my dad. Um, and then once I got to high school, they actually would not let him on the premises or whatever unless I had special needs or unless I was
Hmm.
like, a problem child. So then he was only able to come visit me for lunch. So then he would do that sometimes, and then it went into just once a year. So it was sad as I got, but
Yeah. But
anyway,
still, you
such a
have
cool,
those memories.
yeah, exactly. Such a cool thing that your son's school did.
Yeah.
And that'd be
And I
cool.
agree with like what you said. Like the kids love it too because they're like, "Ah,
Yeah.
my dad is here. Like that's my
Yeah.
dad, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I loved it. And I remember one thing that I loved when I was in grade school, a big perk was I got to do backflips off the swing. No other kid was allowed to do that because all the teachers were like, no, 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 you're gonna break a bone or whatever. And so I ran up to the teachers. I was like, look, my dad's here. If I break a bone, it's his responsibility, not yours. And so then they allowed me to do the backflips, all the backflips that I wanted off of the swing set because he could. And it was so much fun because everybody was watching me all jealous. So,
Yeah.
anyways, that is our two topics. Hopefully, we gave you some advice on what to do and what not to do, and hopefully that'll help. But on a positive note, cousin, what is your quote?
It's such a cute one. Just kidding.
I was waiting for you to say that.
Um, okay, I do feel like it's very fitting though. I found like the perfect quote for what we're talking about. It says, "You won't be able to always control your child, but with a relationship with trust and connection, you will be able to influence them for years beyond childhood. Focus on connection and influence instead of power and control." And that was Dr. David Erickson. Very
See, I
fitting,
do love
right?
that connection. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
fantastic. Good
Because I
job.
mean, I get it. Like as a parent, you want the power and control, but connection
I
and
think that's
influence,
how
like
it,
influence is
yeah,
still, it's like power, but it's not like you're
but
just
it's
telling your kid to do the right thing. You're not demanding, you know what I mean? Like
showing.
you're,
You're not showing them
yeah,
how to do it. Yeah, yeah.
I know what I meant. I just wasn't saying it right.
Please remember to like, follow, and comment to connect with us. We are now on Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook pages. Just search Calling Cousins. Love you all. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, health, tax, or professional advice. We are not responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from the use of this podcast. This podcast is not intended to replace professional medical advice.